Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Kenroy here. I thought I'd just make this quick little video on my experience of trying to remove tiles from the floor. Now, removing tiles isn't particularly a difficult thing. All you need is the right tools. And the right tools may be a hammer and a bolster, or it could be like an electrical tool like a hammer drill that you can actually put a chisel in to remove it. You know, they also have fancy machines that you can also use, but you know, that's probably quite pricey and in most cases could be overkill. But what I have found is that removing tiles may be easy. However, removing these bad boys, now these are what you call quarry bricks or quarry tiles, and they're actually probably almost 200 years old, as old as this house actually, because these are the original flooring for this cottage that we currently live in. And to be honest, when I first had the brainwave of removing them myself rather than paying £400 to the builders to do it, I thought, yeah, that should be an easy, straightforward thing. I got me one of these hammer drills, bought a chisel, and happy days. I actually got that drill from my dad, so I didn't have to buy it. And I got started with the first one, and pretty soon we realized that we may have bitten off more than we can chew, but certainly harder work than we thought. So while I thought these were sort of like your normal 1 centimeter thick tile, upon digging out the first one, we then realized that these were almost the same thickness as a brick, and we quickly regretted taking up this job. But nonetheless, I've been slowly making my way through the house to actually get them removed. They're all around in the living room, and now the majority of them were in the kitchen, and probably around 2/3 the way done taking them up in the kitchen. So yeah, I've just been soldering on, taking me several hours at a time. I tried to get a little break in between, rest my back, which is always a good thing before coming back, but these are absolutely heavy. As you can see underneath, there's concrete, solid concrete, and then this mortar mix. Some of them are sort of surprisingly come up easier than others, but that is very, very rare, and it's been incredibly difficult. So my technique for taking these up has sort of been evolving as I go along. So I normally start with this bad boy. I think this drill is from Argos. I do believe that's where my dad got it from, but it works really well. It's fairly inexpensive, not as powerful maybe as some of the more expensive ones, but this is probably under 50 quid. I then simply bought these chisel, I bought a chisel set from Screwfix. I normally start with this to break away all of the muck and all of the, you know, the adhesive from underneath the brick. I work my way along as much as I can. Sometimes when I get pieces like this where there's an angle, I find that it's really easy to sort of go this way and then that way and slowly lift it up. If you're not interested in saving the tiles, you know, smashing them to pieces, you know, is also another option. But I'm trying to see if I can save as much of these as possible. Potentially I could sell them on to someone else who might want to use them for a project, or I myself might find a project outside, you know, where I could use these. But I figured, you know, with all the history that is in these tiles, I think this house was built around 1870. I could be wrong, it could be before that, it could be slightly after that, but nonetheless these are the original tiles. So much so that the tiles actually go underneath this wall. So this wall was probably put in at a later date, and therefore it sits on top of the original tiles, which is pretty cool. So I have to literally cut the tiles off from underneath that wall, because they basically go all the way through to the other side into the living room. The best way to take these out is to get your drill, rip underneath it. And what I've been doing recently, my new evolution of getting them up, is using this crowbar. And once I've got them up partially and it's stuck to the floor, so to literally whack onto here, and the vibration and reverberation hopefully starts lifting it up, because I find sometimes when I use this, it can't go deep enough without breaking them. So this then sort of start to pry it up, and I can work my way along and I've just taken out 4 in quick succession by using that technique. So I'm going to give it a go again and see how we get on with this technique, or they might just pop out by using the hammer drill. But it is really hard work. If you are planning on doing this for a project like I am, perhaps give yourself enough time to do this. I've kind of got a really short deadline because the builders are coming tomorrow. I didn't think this was going to be so difficult, if I'm being honest. So make sure you check before you start digging up the tiles to see whether or not you've got some old quarry tiles like I do, because it will really take a lot of time and effort, and you need to have a really strong back to actually get these up. So I'm just going to give you a quick demonstration of how I actually got these up, and then yeah, hopefully this will be able to be beneficial to you if you're thinking about doing this. I managed to save a fair few. I'll just take you out back to show you. Some of them have been lost, unfortunately, but you know, you've got to break a few eggs to make an omelette, as the saying goes. So I managed to save these so far, which are in fairly good condition. A couple of them, you know, sort of chipped on the sides. Some of them are a bit worse for wear, but I figured somebody else could use these maybe on the outside to make a patio or something to that effect. Now I can't stress enough the importance of wearing one of these in any shape or form. Eye protection, because you just don't want a piece of concrete or a piece of towel breaking and flying into your eyes, especially if you've got dodgy eyes already like me. And where possible, one of these. Now this isn't perfect to stop the dust from getting into your nose and your lungs. However, it's much better than not having anything at all. Like I said, it's not easy, but it's definitely worth it if you're thinking about saving yourself some money, rather than paying a builder to do this. Bet you've never seen someone so handsome. Now I normally start with one tile. I tend to start in the corner with these ones because they're so thick, honestly. You've got to try and find a weak point. And then once you've got a weak point, once you're ready, you want to make sure that you're going at an angle so that it doesn't break or damage the tile as much, but it will actually get underneath the mortar. Now unfortunately, this one here is cracked down the middle. So I'm gonna just try and tackle that one first with the crowbar. I find sometimes that if I can get one of them out, it makes it easier for the ones beside it to actually be removed. So yeah, this is my technique, guys. Oh gosh, and unfortunately this one just chipped at the edge there, but apart from that, this one came out pretty well, I think. But yeah, sometimes there's not much you can do. They just seem to chip and fracture. And I find that once you get one of them out of the row, it actually gives you more space to attack it and approach removing the rest of them. Okay, so like I said, you will lose some of them, but you will also save some. Now this is a pretty good one. So like I said, once you've gotten some of them out of the row, at least one from a row, you can then attack it from different angles. So that's it, guys. Now I must say that I'm not a professional by any stretch. This is definitely a DIY project. And although I'm covered in dust, it's definitely worth trying to remove tiles yourself if it means that you can save yourself a few £100. The experience as well is really good, so that, you know, in the future I can always tackle something like this. Hopefully it won't be as hard as removing quarry tiles, but removing quarry tiles is something that is definitely not for the faint of heart. But if you are thinking about doing it, it's definitely possible. If you don't mind breaking them apart because you don't want to save these quarry tiles, then, you know, you can just have at it and just absolutely destroy them with a machine like this. However, if you want to remove quarry tiles and keep them, it does take a lot longer. It is a bit more tricky, but definitely doable. So I'm hoping once I've done all of this, I'll be able to then clear up, and it will actually make things a lot easier for the builders, and this ultimately will be a lot cheaper for me as well. If you got any questions about removing these quarry tiles or removing tiles in general, please drop them in the comments below. And if you have any tips that would perhaps help somebody else watching this video, of course post it below so that they can benefit. Maybe you've got some experience with removing tiles and it's obviously quite invaluable for those DIYers who want to learn how to remove their own tiles, whether it's on the floor or on the walls. You know, be my guest and leave those comments down below. As always, this is Ken Roy saying, I'll see you when you see me. Take care.